Hello everybody, welcome to another live here from the UNICAT workshop this time. Today I would like to talk a little bit about exterior equipment, self-recovery gear, supply equipment, tools, everything that's not really built into the vehicle, but what you should have on board more or less when you're going to travel. And what you see here is a very good equipment, and as you can see, it takes some space. And I would like to not show everything to you, but you can ask questions about special things. I want to show you some stuff we typically put and which might be interesting for you as well. So some general equipment you should have are steps, because the storage areas are pretty high, and you should also have a ladder to access the roof, to access the window from outside for cleaning, for many purposes. And what has proven quite easy to use is a so-called tail step. So the ladder expands and it goes up to 3.5 meters or even 3.8 meters. And this way you don't need a lot of storage space, but you have a good ladder for your vehicle. Another thing which is always required on a truck are chocks, wheel chocks. And we have a version here which are quite small, but to make them work, oops, push a button, this one here, okay, so, and now it works as a wheel chock for a truck wheel, and when you don't need it, it's pretty small to be stored away. Okay, another useful piece of equipment is a telescopic mast like this one. Normally it's mounted at the vehicle in its storage position, and it can be extended up to 5-6 meters. And what we add to this is something like this V shape. So if you have to lift up a cable which is hanging low over the road, you go up and lift it. But there are also other mounts for antennas and also for a camera. So it's a multi-purpose tool, and it's not heavy, and yeah, it's very useful. When you travel, you need to supply your vehicle sometimes with electricity, but all the time with water. And to be able to use all possible sources of water, we have a little bit of equipment prepared for our customer here. So it all starts, of course, with a hose. And this is a solid hose with quick couplings. Here we have another type of hose, also 20 meters, which is a nylon hose which rolls up. And as you can see, it's the same length and it's a quarter of the volume. But they are quite sensitive, so we always recommend to have a real solid hose on board, and then if you need further extensions, you use this type of nylon foldable hose. Yeah. Then how to connect to the vehicle? We always provide something like this, so you can hook it into the filler opening, and you can attach the hose here, and so you don't have to fiddle with a hose falling in, falling out, whatever. So this is a good thing to have. This is a meter which tells you how much water you are taking, because the places where you will pay for water will become more and more. And if you have a way to see how much water you are taking, it's nice to have this. It's not expensive, but it's helpful. Now to connect to a water source, let's start with a tap. So there are different devices available in the market. So this, for example, can be put on a kitchen tap, and you clamp it, and then here you have your hose connector, and you take water from a normal kitchen tap. If you have another type of water outlet around one, you can use something like this. It's called a water thief, actually. It's for smaller diameters, and here is a version for bigger diameters. Then, of course, you might have a water outlet with a thread. So you better have 1 inch, ½ inch, 3/4 inch, 3/8, whatever is possible. And these, they are called Gardena couplings, but these days they are also available in metal, not only in plastic, and of course it's better to have the metal pieces. Then there is another system which is called GECA, which is a bayonet system. So this you might also find, and now we have these all these couplings, so you can also combine stuff and actually be able to connect to a water source. Now, another water source can be a fire hydrant. Now, fire hoses start with a decoupling, which is the smallest one. But on a fire hydrant, you typically have a C hose, which is this size, or it goes to this size, which is a B, and there is also an A, which is really a very big hose. But if you combine these adapters, and then you go to the GECA, and then from the GECA, you can go to your hose, and you take water from a hydrant. I mean, you should ask before you do that. But I found firefighters very helpful people, not only when there is a fire, also for water supply. So I was often invited to take water, even with the help of the fire brigade. Another important source for water is a river, a well, or some other places. For example, you might find a water source which has very, very low pressure. So when you connect your hoses and want to fill up your water tanks, which are in 3-meter height, the pressure might not be enough to bring the water up. So for all these cases, we can use a submersible pump. Means you put that pump into the water, and from there you pump the water up into your vehicle directly, and if you want, you run it through a strainer, depending on the water quality or on the cleanliness of the water. Of course, we also use these metal GECA connectors here, which you see everywhere, and then we have these adapters, so you can combine them with the hoses you have. To connect your vehicle to shore power or electrical source, we provide wires. The standard European wire is actually what we call CE coupling. So this is an extension, and this goes directly into the vehicle, and it goes directly into a CE plug. But if you don't have a CE plug, if you have a normal household plug, then you have this part which goes into that extension, and then it goes into a normal plug. There are many other adapters possible. So for example, here we are providing one with an open end. So if you are in a country with different plug system, you can actually get a connector installed by an electrician or by somebody who has a good idea how to do it. Then for also for 110, now this is another one. This one is for 110, and then we have the connector with the extension, so we can feed both 110 or 230 into the vehicle. So the question is, how many extensions and cables do you want to take? But if you want to have the full set, then it's all that what you see here. Among all these wires, there are also cables where you can take electricity from the vehicle. So we have outside power outlets, for example, at the front of the body with this watertight connector to this standard plug. And that, for example, is used to connect a chainsaw. So for example, when you have branches, trees, stuff in front of you, which fall over the road and you have to take it away, then a chainsaw is a nice thing to have. And yeah, so let's talk a little bit about what we call self-recovery gear. Here we have an electric chainsaw with a 40 centimeter blade. It's not too big, but it should do the job for clearing the way if necessary. Of course, you have spare chains. You have a box. You have gloves. You have glasses. So all the protection gear you should wear with when you use an electric chainsaw or a chainsaw at all, also comes with the equipment. Then of course you should have some shovels, light shovels for sand, and also a spade for harder ground to move it, to take it out under the vehicle, whatever. The most important parts in terms of self-recovery gear are, of course, these straps. We prefer to use smaller ones, but longer ones, because they have enough pulling power for a truck. But if you would need more pulling power, then you can double them, and you get twice the pulling capacity, but half the length. But in most times, you don't need too much pulling capacity. So when your truck is like 15 tons, you don't need a 15-ton rope to pull it somewhere out. And I have never seen anybody who wants to lift his truck straight up a wall. So it can be a 5-ton strap is fine for a 15-ton truck. And if you double it, you get 10 tons, and that should really be sufficient. And better you have more small ones. So this way, these are 10 meters and these are 15 meters. So here we have 30, we have 50 meters. So you can really reach out to something that's far away. Or if you are helping somebody, you can stay 50 meters away from the place where he has a problem, which is good, because you don't want to come too close, because you might get into the same problem. A question who is almost asking every prospect is, how about winches? So you've seen probably hydraulic winches and some electric winches on UNICAT vehicles, but we do not really recommend them. The thing is that with a winch, you can only pull pretty much straight, maybe a few degrees to the left and to the right. So you need to find something where you can hold on right in front of you. And that's not very often the case. In most cases, you even have better go backwards where you came from, rather than going deeper into the situation where you already got stuck. Therefore, a winch is nice, it's comfortable, but the times you can use it are quite limited. Quite limited compared to grip hoist or tier 4, and in German we say Greifzug. So this is a 3.2 ton grip hoist. So it can pull straight 3.2 tons. And I have pulled out heavy vehicles with smaller versions than this one. So again, if you say the vehicle is 15 tons, what can I do with a 3.2 ton grip hoist? First of all, it will pretty much always work, because you don't have traction, you are sunken in somewhere, but you don't have to lift up the vehicle straight, you have just to support to get out. How does it work? I mean, it's a mechanical it's a mechanical device. It's a mechanical winch, more or less. There is a special cable, and you should not use any other cable than this one that comes with the Greifzug. And actually, you connect the Greifzug on the one side on a tree, which you should do with a strap, so that the tree doesn't get hurt. And then you push the cable through that hole, and it goes all the way through. And when you pull here, the cable goes through step by step. And it's like a mechanism inside that pulls the cable and clamps it so it doesn't slip out, so it comes through slowly. And you can also do it the other way, because sometimes you have to lower something, and you do it the other way. Yeah? And here you have the handle, the extension, so that you can do it with normal forces. This does not only help you to pull your car out forward, reverse. You can, if it would fall to the side, or if it's leaning to the side, you can stabilize it by putting a strap from the chassis around the body, and then use this to bring it straight up. So you can also use it to bend a tree out of the way without cutting it with a winch. So there are a lot of possibilities to use something like this in a very useful way. And I mean, compared to a winch, the price is maybe really a fraction of it. It's much less weight. It does not extend the length of the vehicle. Lots of advantages, but manual. So next part of the equipment is tools. Some people take a lot of tools, a lot of special tools. It all depends on how capable you are to perform a work. But on the other hand, you might be in a situation where you say, okay, I can't fix it, but you find somebody, another experienced traveler or a workshop or somebody somewhere. He has the knowledge, he knows how to do it, but he doesn't have the tools. So if you can provide the tools, you're all set. It all starts with a standard set of tools. So the typical stuff with the typical sizes. It's nice that it's in a box and it's all organized, because when you're in a situation where you have to fix something, the worst is to lose tools, and maybe you are not in the mood to check everything when you put it in your boxes. Here it's organized. You instantly see if something is missing, and therefore I like this type of toolboxes. Of course, they are for the standard sizes, and on a truck you typically have larger sizes too. And therefore we add some stuff. So there are parts for air guns in different sizes, because with the air gun like this one here, you should never use this type of socket here. So okay, this is a 1/4 inch, but here is a 1/2 inch. But the shocks that come from the air gun are so hard that this might break. It happens quite often, and it can fly into your eyes. So you should never use this type of sockets for air guns, please. So this back, okay. And therefore they have these ones which are much stronger, and that's why we supply a set of these for any mechanical work on the vehicle. Of course, the most important tool is sockets and wrenches to open the wheel nuts. So the wheel nuts are, for example, this size. So you need a real 32 size socket, and they typically come in 3/4. But this unit actually provides enough torque to open and close a wheel nut on a truck. So we have an adapter, and then this one fits here as well. And there are a few other sizes which are common on specific trucks, and therefore we provide that assembly. And we also have the reduction the other way, so from 3/4 to 1/2 for the small sockets, because we also have a torque wrench, which is this one here. So this is a 3/4 torque wrench. Let me open this. And the good thing is that it's pretty much the smallest one in this size. I mean, the length is as small as it gets. And then you have the extension, and then you have a very powerful torque wrench on board, which you should have. Beside mechanical tools, you should also have electrical tools. But the question is, how much do you take? I mean, in the toolbox, you have the screwdrivers and other stuff. But what you definitely also should have is a multimeter to check voltage, resistance, AC, DC, all that stuff. And what we also provide is a current clamp for AC and DC, because on a truck sometimes you have high currents, and this one can only measure up to 10 amps. But if you have a starter motor or a winch motor or something like that, you have 200, 300, 400 amps. And with this unit, you can measure that as well. So last but not least, you should also have personal safety equipment like gloves for different things. For example, here we have electrician gloves. So when you pull up a cable with a mast, then you should have electrician gloves which are isolated. These ones are going up to 1000 volts. So yeah, your personal protection should always be your priority, and that's also part of the equipment. Okay, hope that gave you a little bit of an overview. Ask questions, whatever I didn't tell, and what you're interested in. And I'm looking forward to your questions, and I'm happy to answer them. Thank you.